Cro Cop.
Oh no!
Another left. Some
high kick and down goes Igor. He is out. Down goes Igor.
It's Cro Cop. Yeah, but there it is. The trademark left kick, and it's over. Just like that, Mirko Cro Cop defeats Emelianenko with his patented high left kick.
Right leg, hospital. Left leg, cemetery. Immortal words echoed by a now immortal man, whose path in combat sports left behind him a trail of some of the best heavyweights to ever step foot on the canvas. But how did an anti-terrorist cop from the small country of Croatia live to be a god of the ring? And for all the weapons and skills he possessed, nothing was more deadly than what he carried on his left hip, a 50 cal sniper rifle, his left leg that he'd throw with ruthless accuracy. This is the story of Mirko Cro Cop and how he conquered the biggest combat sports stage in Japan. What's important to understand first is that this man was raised as an athlete. Although from a working class background, early life was full of track and field, sprinting events, honing the power in his legs from a young age. But like so many kids in the 80s, he saw his future clearly on the big screen. His first taste of the glory that only combat sports could bring. Jean-Claude Van Damme's Bloodsport. He enrolled in karate, taekwondo, all the best kicking martial arts basically, and sadly, when his dad passed at age 19, I can only imagine a lost and perhaps even angry Mirko joined the Croatian army. But it would be his colonel who eventually relieved him of his duties so he'd be able to train with the Croatian national kickboxing team. It was that same man that told him, "I will release you, I want you to train twice a day. I want you to make your country and your homeland proud one day." And by God did he take that message to heart. Luckily for Mirko, he had some footsteps to follow in. You may have heard of Mirko Cro Cop, but only the hardcore amongst you would have heard the name Branko Sakadic. Also from Croatia, and truly the very first man to put them on the combat sports map, becoming the first K1 World Grand Prix champion in 1993 in no other place than Japan. In the 90s, MMA and combat sports are not how they were today. The UFC had barely gotten started and would struggle through dark ages for years, losing millions. Whereas in Japan, MMA and kickboxing were the most popular sports in the whole country and the mecca of combat for the entire planet. Under the guise of this mentor, Mirko went from amateur boxing to the world of K1, where the biggest, most dangerous strikers on the planet awaited. In 1997, Cro Cop would take home the trophy in an 8-man tournament in Prague, and that got him a place in the qualifiers for the 1999 K1 Grand Prix in Japan. After passing his first matchup against the Frenchman Achille Roger, he ran immediately into kickboxing royalty in the form of the South African legend Jan Norte, the Giant. Jan was an enormous man, 6'11" and also a southpaw, but Cro Cop was a master of reading distance already, absolutely crucial for him to land his kicks. Here, Cro Cop reads the distance perfectly on the low kick, moves to his left to pull Jan towards him, and even against the 6'11" giant, sends up his lead right high kick, exactly as Norte loads his rear hand. This also showed an understanding of what weapons to use against what fighters. His left leg might already have been a dangerous weapon, but against the same stanced fighter, the lead leg is more available to land. Against the undefeated pro boxer Jan, Cro Cop was also not afraid to trade in the pocket either. Inside the danger zone and firing the backhand at the same time as Jan and outpowering the giant with his left hook, dropping his weight and loading his entire body into it. And just like that, Mirko Cro Cop had arrived in Japan.
Since you win in Japan?
3 years ago. 3 years ago, and now I'm back. I have intention to stay.
Who would you like to fight next if you had a chance?
It doesn't matter.
And in his very next matchup, he'd show the real weapon he carried against the Brit Ricky Nicholson in the next round. His understanding of distance was not also just on display, but his knowledge of angles. Finding himself in the clinch, Cro Cop targets the body and the liver with his heavy left hook, further breaking down posture. He then used his lead hand to guide and turn Ricky as he steps and angles out to his left, sending out his straight left, also perfectly measuring the distance for what was to come behind it. Although that one didn't land clean, what most fans would soon come to realize is stand in front of the Cro Cop long enough and it's just a matter of time. This time, Mirko began again with the straight left, placing his hand on Ricky to frame. And this time he throws the right leg, leaning his body all the way backwards to create as much elevation for his knee as possible. In fact, he turns his leg downwards in an arc, enabling him to place it perfectly over the high guard of Ricky. And that wasn't even his left leg, folks. Watch how much momentum is traveling through his entire body here in slow motion. He's throwing his entire weight across and into that kick. Next in the 1999 tournament was Mike Bernardo, and he felt the full force of Cro Cop's most deadly weapon. Mirko closes the distance with Mike backing up against the ropes, nowhere to retreat to. The hard straight left sends him further back, and the follow-up right hook transfers his weight from right hip to his left, where even at punching range his flexibility is outstanding as he snaps his leg onto Mike's chin. It was in the finals though in '99 that Mirko would face another legend of the K1 world, Dutch kickboxer Ernesto Hoost, the very man Branko had knocked out in '93 to win the championship. But after a war on the feet, he'd stop Mirko with a crushing left body shot. The following year, Mirko would face another legend, Andy Hug, the Swiss Machine, but this was back in Europe, and although he'd go the distance, defeat would again taste bitter in his mouth. The nickname Cro Cop had also begun to stick at this point. No longer in the army, Mirko had joined the Croatian police force and anti-terrorist unit Alpha, hence the name Cro Cop, where he was putting his life on the line in a completely different way. Going into the year 2000 though, and he was heading back to Japan and matched up with Hiromi Amada, a forward-moving pressure fighter from Japan, and Mirko set him up perfectly yet again. As Amada pressured forwards, Mirko circled to his left into the power side of Amada, but also drawing him across his body right into the path of his left leg. He twitches the left hand, which pulls Amada's guard down, and the shin smashes him apart. His attempts to win the K1 title again that year though would not work out, losing once again to Ernesto Hoost in the finals in Tokyo in another war of two of the best in the world. But that didn't matter. Mirko had proven that in an instance he could shut out the lights of any man walking on 2 feet. Kickboxing and K1 was massive, but in 2001 so was Pride Fighting Championships and mixed martial arts. K1 were also now doing MMA shows as well, and that's where he took his first steps. And who did they give him first? None other than old Ironhead, one of the toughest men alive, Kazuyuki Fujita. Now, in the world of MMA, Cro Cop was still able to read and stuff the takedowns early, exploding his hips back and away and always keeping them out of reach. And then, anticipating another shot, he timed a perfect left knee as Fujita was diving in, and Ironhead or no, he was split open. And Cro Cop had just beaten one of Japan's most heralded stars in under 1 minute. Mirko was now officially an MMA fighter, and Pride immediately signed him to take on one of the biggest stars since the days of Pancrase, Nobuhiko Takada. This was one of Mirko's early MMA fights fought under special rules, where one man couldn't be in top position for too long, to give Cro Cop time to adjust to MMA and the takedowns. This fight went the distance with Takada, and so it was also, under those rules, named a draw. Maybe his grappling skills were in question, but his striking skills were not, and at the New Year's Inoki Bumbaye in 2001, perhaps the biggest show of the year, he ended things in just 21 seconds against Yuji Nagata. As soon as the bell rang, Nagata of course tried to clinch him up, but Mirko shrugged him off. And on the feet, he had no idea what was coming. 21 seconds, another massive head kick. Happy New Year, everyone. If he hadn't already announced himself that year in 2001, the New Year's performance set him up for what was to come in 2002. Domination. He'd start the year back in kickboxing, first by finishing Yan Nagasawa in the first round. Mirko timed this one perfectly, exactly as Ryushi raises and then lowers his lead leg, once again leaning all the way over to his right hand side to send it nice and high, and he just melted him after that.
들러붙어서 랩 하이킥 또 올려칩니다. 어퍼컷 밀코 크로 컵 완전한 샌드백을 치듯이 공격하고 있는 크로 컵. 나기사와 거의 지금 힘 올리는데요.
Then fans got a treat globally as he took on the K1 legend, the Super Samoan Mark Hunt, with a chin and hands of solid granite.
What would be the weakness of Mark Hunt?
Weakness of Mark Hunt?
Cro Cop.
You?
Yeah.
And he wasn't kidding about that. Mirko stayed on mark the whole fight until he found his opening, framing with his lead right hand for the distance. And then you can see, right as Mark fakes his own rear hand, Mirko spotted the perfect moment on the reset to once again explode from the hips like nobody else on earth could. That head kick exploded combat sports message boards around the world. When you tuned in to a Cro Cop fight, you were just waiting for it to come, like a death in a Final Destination movie. Of course, this is Mark Hunt we're talking about though, and somehow he got up from that one, and Mirko would win on the scorecards.
How is Mirko's high kick?
Why is it me? I got caught again, and can I say he's got a good high kick.
He then, just 1 month later, was back in Pride to take on another one of the scariest men on the planet, the axe murderer, Wanderlei Silva. This was one of the most anticipated fights in Japan's combat sports history, and Wanderlei showed zero fear in the lead up, despite not even being a heavyweight himself.
Like, here's the best stare down of all time in MMA. I'll show you the best stare down.
Right.
Mirko Cro Cop versus Wanderlei Silva. This is the best stare down ever, because Wanderlei was, his nickname is the Axe Murderer. He's a fucking savage. He was a Pride middleweight champion, bad motherfucker, just a bad mother. But he was fighting Mirko Cro Cop, who was the head of an anti-terrorist squadron in Croatia, and he's a real murderer. You're talking about a different kind of fucking straight-up killer and an elite high-level kickboxer.
Cro Cop slides back, resets the distance, and then takes a step to his right to create a perfect angle for this monster left leg to find the liver, and then Wanderlei attacked him like a rabid dog. Mirko would continue to tease the high kick while slamming body shots into Wanderlei's ribs, which changed colour in front of Fran's eyes. But he was still new to MMA. Silva fought well, and as it went the distance, it would be another draw. But another massive statement from Cro Cop that he could already hang and most likely beat the Pride World Champions. Next though, Cro Cop will be faced with another legend, albeit one past his prime, but still one of the greatest to ever do it, none other than Japan's biggest hero, Kazushi Sakuraba. But unfortunately for their idol, Cro Cop absolutely dismantled him. The punishment added up, and the doctors stopped this one after the second round, and another legend was added to Mirko's belt. A rematch with Fujita would take place at the Bumbaye that year, and he'd survived the distance this time, still with Cro Cop blasting him non-stop. 2003 would be the year that Cro Cop really took over the Pride heavyweight division, starting with the US Texan crazy horse, veteran Heath Herring. Mirko was also quickly showing his takedown defense and ground game had started to catch up with his striking, and if you thought kicks on the feet were bad from this guy, try knees on the ground.
Look at that. That's athleticism personified. Heath doesn't seem to be getting frustrated yet, but it's only a matter of time before he does.
Cro Cop stalked Heath. A slight level change had him thinking it was okay to push forward, but the second he touches that lead foot down in front of him, Mirko loaded his left leg and smashed it into his liver.
Total control right now. Liver, it hurt him. It was the liver kick.
Boss, the fight is almost over. It's almost over.
It's going to be over.
Mirko was now 5-0-2 in MMA, and Lord have mercy, Pride matched him, perhaps the most dangerous kicker Pride had ever seen, with the most dangerous puncher, the Ukrainian one-night tournament master, Igor Ice Cold Vovchanchyn. Yes, my friends, even now, this is a fan's dream matchup.
That they both have knockout power in their hands.
There's the
kicks.
K1 special high kick and miss there.
As Igor pressured, Mirko circled all the way to his left, then planting his feet to send out the straight left. Slowing this down, you can see Igor is leaning all the way to his right-hand side to slip it. Cro Cop made the read immediately, framing to keep him leaning in that direction, throwing a left hook behind it, and then taking the angle to fire his missile once more.
Other left, some blood. Oh! High kick and down goes Igor!
After 60 fights, many of them bare knuckle, no one had ever knocked out Igor Vovchanchyn. And the guy would even fight for another 3 years and was never knocked out again. It just goes to show once more the absolute devastation that was wrought from the left leg of Cro Cop. He'd probably already done enough to get a shot at the champion, but before that happened, he'd be in another famous fight against a pro wrestler, Dos Caras Jr., who unadvisedly thought it would be a good idea to share the ring with Mirko, who showed him in 46 seconds why that was probably the worst mistake of his life.
Mirko comes with that strong left leg. There he is. Oh, God!
7 wins and undefeated in Pride, Mirko was going to get his shot at the champ, the Brazilian legend, BJJ black belt and one of the toughest heavyweights to ever exist, Antonio Nogueira. Nogueira was a fairly easy target to hit, but he would not crumble under the liver kicks. How he was eating these, I'll never know. This was a man who was hit by a truck as a child and whose stomach was already messed up from intense surgeries as well, but he was one hardcore mofo, you had to give him that.
Oh, let's go!
I mean, Cro Cop kicks him in the face on the floor right here and the guy barely reacts. With a few seconds left in the first, Mirko faked low, bringing down the hands of Nogueira and finally landed the head kick flush. But the bell rung and on came the second with the Pride heavyweight title firmly in sight. Nogueira though, the legend, immediately took him down, found mount, and then like a boa constrictor locked in the armbar. It was another insane display of resilience, heart and beautiful jiu-jitsu from the champion, and Cro Cop would suffer his first defeat. He was now though a superstar in Japan and continued to KO opponents in the first round before he met Kevin Randleman, the US standout wrestler who fooled everyone and him faking the takedown. Mirko dropped his hands and he gave Cro Cop his first KO loss in MMA.
What a left hook!
Left hook, yeah. Left hook, and now he's banging away. And the hammer fist is going to do it. You watch, he's going to create some distance so he can strike. He's got some striking distance. There you go. And that was the first 1, 2, 3, 4, over and out.
But the Croatian sensation didn't stop his Pride run there. Off the back of that defeat, he'd go on another 7-fight win streak, all but one of them finishes, including shadow realming Alexander Emelianenko once again with his left leg, and there was no setup on this one.
It's Cro Cop. Yeah, but there it is! The trademark left kick! And it's over! Just like that, Mirko Cro Cop defeats Emelianenko with his patented high left kick.
And after that, a first-round stoppage of the former UFC heavyweight champ and catch wrestler Josh Barnett.
Cro Cop was knocked out in the first round of the Pride heavyweight tournament. What's going on?
Wait, what happened?
What the heck is going on?
Something happened!
Mirko would then even guillotine Kevin Randleman in the rematch, a complete Uno reverse of the grappler KOing the striker and now the striker submitting the grappler. And after that, a complete mauling of another UFC champ Mark Coleman would follow. Editor clips here. He was even beating Mark to the underhooks in the takedown attempts, all while chipping away and slowing him down until he was a sitting duck.
Very bad left hook, uppercut, finds its mark and down goes Coleman. Soccer kick puts an end to this one. Mirko Cro Cop dispatches Mark.
What followed was a date once more with destiny and a second chance to win the Pride Heavyweight Championship, which was now firmly in the grasp of the man they called the Last Emperor, who was, and perhaps still is, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, Fedor or Fyodor Emelianenko. And let's not forget that Fedor had been watching backstage the very night Cro Cop had KO'd his brother.
Блять, ёбаный в рот, сука. Стоп! Пидор, блять.
Cro Cop was doing his thing, circling to his left to find an angle for the body kick, but in sending it up with no setup, Fedor's defensive reactions were on point, covering both high and low and checking it hard with his shin. No matter what came at him though, Fedor never stopped moving forward and pressuring, making it very hard for Mirko to set his feet and get any space to even launch his kicks. Halfway through the first, Fedor got top position and began slowly beating up the Croatian. And the Last Emperor's ground and pound and pressure was legendary, diving and launching his whole body into shots. The second round started and Fedor just blitzed him, trapping against the ropes, chaining his combos together in the way only he could. Mirko was melting. Back to the ropes again, Mirko sends up a high kick, but the steam has started to come off, and Fedor only kept pressuring and turning it up. He took him down again, kept dropping punishment, even from close guard, and he remained the Last Emperor and Pride heavyweight champion. This fight perhaps was the pinnacle of heavyweight MMA in Pride, and of course there's far too many legendary fights to really decide what takes that top spot, but for many, it truly was. Mirko had arrived in Japan, he was a complete superstar, and although he'd never win the Pride heavyweight title, by 2006 he'd finally reached the pinnacle of his career in Japan. The 2006 Openweight Grand Prix tournament was taking place, and he easily dispatched the much smaller and slightly crazy Minowa man and then Yoshida, all before meeting Wanderlei Silva in the next round.
Mirko, we're here about 10-15 minutes before we actually get started. I just want to get your final thoughts on Wanderlei before you guys step out there and fight each other.
Nothing, excellent fighter. That's all I can say. I don't like him personally, but as a fighter, he's an excellent guy.
I've seen you fight a lot of years, and this is probably the most intense I've seen you really before a fight. This is a little bit of hatred. You definitely want to try and take Wanderlei out in the first round.
Well, of course, I will try to finish fight as soon as possible.
With no fear, the axe murderer walked him down, but he was getting caught with huge power shots. As fatigue began to set in, he started plodding forward, walking right into the dead space Cro Cop had set and being met by a crushing liver shot that had Wanderlei freeze in real time. And then, with a straight left to change the elevations once more, he backed Vandy up into kicking range, sending the jab, and then, still as flexible as he was when he started back in the 90s, fired his left up once more, up and around the guard of Wanderlei, sleeping the Japanese legend and earning himself the knockout of the year. That very same night, he'd meet Josh Barnett in a rematch in the Grand Prix final, and it was a chance to set the record straight yet again. He slammed him with body kicks all first round, finding the target under the elbow precisely time and time again, until Josh was already broken and just completely drained of all energy. He held him against the ropes and powered left hand after left hand into Barnett's body. Josh collapsed, and Cro Cop unloaded punishment non-stop for 2 minutes, forcing Josh to tap. Mirko Cro Cop had won the 2006 Openweight Pride Grand Prix, truly cementing himself at the top of the sport and fulfilling that promise he made to his colonel at just 19 years old. From there, he'd go on to the UFC, then win in Ryzen, and even finally claim a K1 championship title. But the legend of the Croatian sensation was birthed in the heart of combat sports at the time, surrounded by the 70,000 Japanese fans that often filled stadiums to cheer on these absolute superhumans. His fight with Nogueira and Fedor for the belts in 2003 and 2005 won Fight of the Year. Pride ended with Cro Cop holding the records for the most first round finishes, the second most KOs, and in case this video didn't make it clear, the most head kick knockouts in Pride history.